Hello and welcome to another episode of Tales from a Professional Nerd. My name is BryanCPSteele and I will be your nerd today and any other day that you watch one of my silly little shows. All right, first off, Happy New Year, everybody. It's 2024. Weird. It's a leap year, so we get an extra day stuck randomly in our calendar. For those of us in America, we have a presidential election this year, which I'm sure that's going to be fun, if not an utter nightmare. It's just it's a weird year, going into a weird year. I was going to do my my New Year's resolution-y type things, but I did that last, kind of like looking forward to stuff in the last episode. So I think today's gonna be a normal Tales from a Professional Nerd style episode. Today's gonna actually just be us. We'll do the week in Bryan, which I've got some stuff to say, which is cool, and then we'll go into a review of a game that I got to play, but there's a story behind it. You saw it on the thumbnail. It's Lunar, the very small scale miniatures game from Blacksite Studios, which we'll talk about that here in a minute. But without further ado, let's talk about the last 2023 comment raffle winner. I'm going to go ahead and say that now because when this goes live, they will receive word that they won, and I hope to be able to put together a very cool and special, a unique prize package for this individual, because I know a lot of the things that they are super into. So congratulations from comment laid on episode 215, and that is Nicholas Danielson. Nicholas, you won. Awesome. Please spread the word, send some subscribes. When you get your prize pack, eventually when it gets there, obviously you got to email me, let me know what your address and stuff is, but when you get everything, spread the word, get people over here. I know that you spend a lot of time on the Warzone Discords and the Warzone Facebook groups. Get those people to come over here and start talking about things, especially as the months move forward and Warzone becomes a bigger part of what's out there in the world. I'm going to probably do a lot more episodes, devoted on that kind of stuff and talking about that kind of stuff. So, congratulations, Nicholas. Thank you for engaging and subscribing and being a part of the nerd family. So, yes, thank you very much. All right, Week in Bryan. Painting. So I've actually been doing lots of painting. I set aside the big monster that I was working on because I was like, no, I was hitting my head against the wall. I kept looking at it and it just wasn't inspiring me. And so I was like, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and do the painting that I need to get done. And that includes a bunch of D&D characters for my niece's gaming group, plus a couple of characters for my own use in the upcoming Winter Fantasy convention over in Fort Wayne. So just really kind of, I really like painting D&D adventurer style figures. I like doing monsters and stuff too, but because it allows me to grab a single model, come up with a single paint scheme, and really just sort of flex. If I want to throw tattoos on a guy, I can. If I want to give him weird scars, if I like this, this particular rogue is the all purple rogue. I can go that route because they're all unique sculpts, they're unique characters, and it's just a lot of fun to do. So I'm looking forward to finishing those up and getting those off to my niece, which should be a ton of fun. I get to see her in a little over a week. So those will be done, and I'll be able to hand those over to her, plus a little surprise that she is unawares of. Just really kind of excited about that. What else? That's really all I got for painting wise. Personal wise, back to hitting the gym 3 times a week, trying to get myself back into shape. I would love to be in good enough shape that all the conventions and stuff that I am doing this year, which is actually more than I thought. I really just want to be in good enough shape where I can keep up with everybody physically and health wise, and not feel like if my Airbnb is a block and a half away, where I feel like I can just walk, instead of being like, oh, I'm going to be exhausted and sore, and this is what I got. So still working hard on that. The holidays have been harder because of food. And food options and things, but I'm still staying on it, and I haven't backslid, so that is a plus. Professional wise, we're still in the holiday. We're at the tail end of the holiday shutdown for Evil Genius. I've been working a lot of freelance stuff in the meantime, getting some words down for the novel, finished up some stuff for Shadowrun Takedown. Just really kind of focused on moving forward and progressing, getting things ready to go into the new year, because I know there's a lot of really, really cool stuff coming. And I know that I'm going to be very busy. Let's see. I'll bleed the work and playing games together on this one. I got to get a couple playtest games in of some scenario stuff for Warzone, trying to hammer out all the details for the Graviton Protocol, so when we are ready to, when we are at that point, that all of the units that are being attached to the Graviton Protocol and the scenarios there, that it doesn't turn out to be a we throw it out there and everyone looks at it and goes, oh, that's nice, and they never use it. I wanted to make it fun and special and cool. So I started doing some playtesting on that. Speaking of Warzone Eternal, last week actually had a really cool one of my locals who backed the Kickstarter and got into the program, was like, hey, I really would love to sit down and learn to play. And so we gathered up, I think there was 5 or 6 of us locally. We head down to the local game store and took over their rear game tables and played Warzone Eternal for an afternoon. There was a lot of proxying going on because I only have like 4 or 5 factions of the demo sets and stuff painted, and some of which I don't even have printed, like the demo figures printed yet, because my printer had perished. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. We had a great day. A couple of really cool instances. As always, I opened my mouth and said, Undead Legionnaires, they're super low points. They're kind of filler, but sometimes, yeah, they're hot garbage as far as their stats. But you get a lot of them. No sooner do those words come out of my mouth that the player who's playing Algaroth goes ahead, crits the roll on an Undead Legionnaire to shoot the special unique Graviton Haramoto, and who in turn rolls a 20 on their armor save, dead on the spot. So there's a lot of that. It highlighted a few things that Alex and I need to make sure that we clarify on the rules, because we did have, I had players. One of the players that was there at the playtest day was not, he has played Warzone 25 years ago, but he had not played a miniatures game really much since. And so anytime that he had a question or needed clarification or needed something, kind of pointed out, hey, is this how that works? It meant to me that maybe that wording needs a little clearing up, or, oh, hey, maybe that rule is not as obvious as I thought it would be. But yeah, so it was a great day. We had a blast. We had a lot of fun, and then we went out for Korean fried chicken afterwards, which is awesome, by the way. Let's see, what else? I did I've been playing. I've played like 5 or 6 games of. It's a very very old board game called Aggravation, and by board game I mean like legitimately it is a board with marbles and you have dice. That's it. It is not a high concept game, and we over Christmas we went to my parents' house, and when I was growing up, my mom, my parents, my grandparents, my uncle, my family, we would have Aggravation. We would play Aggravation almost at every holiday. That board would come out, and in fact, my grandfather had had a handmade Aggravation board with glass marbles that was made out of that kind of pearlescent with like silver specks, that Formica countertop material. Imagine like a 2.5 foot, like a 2x2 board of cut from that thing, and then just used a blunt, like a wider drill tip to just make the pattern for the marble holes around this countertop, and that was the board that I knew when I was little. Obviously, that has long since. Actually, I think my sister might have that, but either way, that's how much this game got played in my family growing up. And we go to my parents' house, and my wife and I sit down, and my mom breaks out the Aggravation board, and I almost cried. Like, you know me, I'm a crier. I'm very emo, and I almost broke into tears sitting there and playing Aggravation with my parents, because this is an old memory. This is a very deep memory for me. And at the end of the day, Natalie was like, "Oh, that game's a lot of fun." She'd never played before. We had, we've played a lot. My mom is vicious, but we just had a really good time. And at the end of the thing, Natalie makes a side mention of, maybe we should get this for us and the kids and play with our friends and that sort of thing. And 5 minutes later, my mom comes out of one of the back bedrooms of her house with a copy of Aggravation, and we're like, no, we're not going to take your copy. And she's like, no, this is one of the extras. So I have no idea how many copies of this game my parents have, but they gave that to us, and then Natalie and I took it to our friend's house, and then we played once with the kids. And so I've been playing a lot of Aggravation lately through the holiday break, and it does call up some nostalgia for me. It's one of those old, just an old, Mattel, Hasbro, game that you could buy at any department store. Hell, that you might still be able to find it in most Walmarts and stuff. I really don't know where you would get this, but I have my copy. So we've been playing a bunch of that. On last weekend, I was part of a charity D&D stream where I got to play a kind of a heavily leveled up version of one of my Adventure League characters, a GIF bard named Ruxla Thunderballs the Third. And I had a blast with him. It was a great time. I love getting to do. I love being in front of a camera and streaming gameplay, because I get to do goofy things to make people laugh and entertain them, while still hopefully doing the game master's bidding, so to speak. I know that I got a couple of good chuckles, and we raised. I think over the course of 2 days, we raised a little over $3,000 for Extra Life. So that was a lot of fun. Again, these are the things that I love to do, and wish I had more time to do them more steadily. I would love to run a game for charity all the time. What else? I think that's really it for gaming. Yeah, I think that's it. And then obviously playing a bunch of Baldur's Gate and stuff. A lot of video games. And I think that's it. Really, I got a decent amount of gaming in, but that was pretty much it. mostly because of holiday stuff and you know, packing my holiday break full of a bunch of freelance work. But yeah, so that's the week in Bryan, which leads us up to today's topic. Today's probably gonna be a short episode, if only because I have I have a bunch of stuff that I need to accomplish around the house and stuff, but also because I've gotten a little bit of feedback from a few of the viewers that an hour-long video, while okay, can be a little bit too much for some people. So I'm going to try and do my best and I'm not going to specifically crib topics, but if I am in a situation where I can, you know, pump out a 30-minute, 45-minute episode instead of pushing it to an hour, I will. I won't try and stretch things out unless the topic and the conversation, you know, requires it. Today, talking about, speaking of, you know, small things, we are talking about a small miniatures game called Lunar. Lunar has been through. It is by Blacksite Studios out of Texas. They have done several little small scale, not like scale as in, you know, they're not like, you know, 15 mils or anything. They look like they're 28 to 30 millimeter models. But small scale as in they try to tend to be skirmish. They all tend to be played on, like, you know, 2-foot tables, two by two rather than 3x3 or 4x4. And you have a small number of models on the table, like, you know, maybe 5 or 6 tops. And my friend Chris, the owner operator and voice behind the magic over at Victorum Gaming, which I'll put a link to his Instagram. He does a lot of stuff on Instagram. I'll put the link to that into the description. Because you should go check out his stuff. He's very, very prolific when it comes to a lot of reviews, a lot of, check out this model, a lot of little things. He's very active. But I've known Chris for a long time, and we've been trying to get together to play this game, to test out this game for literally months. He's been playing for a while, and he reached out to me, God, probably, I'll say 6 months or more ago, and was like, hey, I would love to show you this game. And I always thought it looked cute. It looked like an interesting little idea. And I'm all for trying out, you know, new systems and new games. And I'm a big fan of skirmish games. We all know that, obviously. And I was like, you know, we'll make it happen. We'll make it happen. And every time that we would try and set something up, I was just too busy. I couldn't make it happen. I couldn't get my schedule to cooperate. And this holiday break came up. And he reached out to me and let me know that there was a revised rule book for Lunar, that they had come out with some revised rules, and he was like, hey, you know, when are you going to have time to maybe test these out? And I said, you know what? Next week, we're going to do it. And so I put it on the schedule. I wrote it in the schedule. I blocked out time. I was not going to let this pass me by. And I'm really, really glad that I did. Not only do I not get to see Chris nearly as much as, you know, we're both adults. We both have the professional jobs. So not only do I not get to see him enough, and definitely don't get to game with him enough, I've wanted to check this out for a while. So Lunar from Blacksite is a skirmish game where it is set kind of in a slightly alternate, like, Cold War era. And by what I say slightly alternate is that there's not really any major, like, weird technologies or anything, which I'm going to get to that in a second. But it's different factions vying for territory and resources on the moon, hence the name Lunar. And so all of your characters are like in bubble suits. You know, they're in the bubble helmeted, kind of big marshmallowy. You know, you don't have your space marines in you know, thick plate armor or you know, anything like that. You've got astronauts, cosmonauts. They've introduced 2 new factions, I think, the Republic of China and the freelance, the mercenary moon, not so much pirates, but like moon mercs, and it's your technology. It is slightly higher than Cold War era. Like you might have some gyrojet guns. There's a I had a weapon that was it's like a combat knife that actually can like spring load shoot the knife blade itself, and it's a very interesting setting. There are little rover drones, like unmanned drones, so like it's not hard. It's not like super sci-fi. It's like lightly sci-fi. It's like modern fi. Modern modern. I don't know, but it's a cute setting, and like I said, it's played on a little 2 foot by 2 foot by 2 foot board. Little bit of terrain. You throw some objectives on the field. The mission that we were playing is you got to go over and mine get some chunks of resources and then get it back to your spot. And it was a 6-turn game, but as far as the game itself goes, it's designed for campaign play. Like you could do long-term campaigns with your characters that get better and get injured and all that. We were obviously just playing a one-off game. And by one-off game is that we each had 3 people. We had our team leader and 2 regular dudes with a little bit of equipment. You purchase your characters based off of their oxygen level as a game mechanic. So the actual mechanic itself, the dice roll mechanic is super simple. It is either roll a die, add modifiers, and you want to get 5 or 6. A die being a d6, and you want to get a 5 or a 6, or roll a die, add your modifiers, and try and score higher than your opponent who has rolled a die and add their modifiers. That's really it. I didn't see any other weird mechanics popping up in the game. There's a lot of little rules of if you failed this check, this could happen. If you make this check, this could happen. And then the additional thing is anytime that character could possibly be hurt, there's a hazard roll die. And the hazard roll die is effectively a d5 minus 3. I know that sounds weird, but it's a d6 with 3 blank sides, 2 1 damage sides, and 1 2 damage sides. So you could easily roll just a regular d6 and be like 1 through 3 is nothing, 4 5 is 1, 6 is 3, or 6 is 2. You could easily do that if you didn't have the special dice that comes with the starter set or anything like that. Totally doable. You have each character has a set amount of mass that's built into their suit, which helps the armor of the suit, like the defense rolls. Also can verify vary your speed. You have your aptitude roll, which is basically anytime that you're trying to interact with stuff or mining or whatever, you might have modifiers to that. But then each character, the characters we were playing with last night, had 4 oxygen each, meaning that they can take 4 actions, each one burning an oxygen. And then if you want, you can push up to 2 more times to get extra actions, but then you put little counters on your person, and at the end of the turn, you roll to see if those counters come back. Basically, you try and catch your breath. So in theory, you could have somebody do 6 actions every round if their dice were good. Or if you had a way to add oxygen to them with like a little oxygen rover or something like that. But every, on a 2 foot board, you think 4 actions, that's a lot. It really isn't, because like my cosmonauts, I played the Soviets in our game. Cosmonauts only move 2 inches per action. So if you ran the whole direction the whole time, it's only 8 inches of move. And that means that I didn't interact with anything. That means I didn't shoot anything. That means I didn't mine anything. It means literally I just went boom, 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 boom. You can also you rather than having your character have really health, you have suit integrity. As your suit gets damaged, eventually it gets so damaged that your oxygen's bleeding out and you can't and you get knocked out. Or in theory, if your suit is completely damaged and you take more damage, you could also die. And then you also have to take into consideration your character's mass. And your mass has a limit. If you get to a certain point, you are encumbered. You're too heavy. You're going to start. You move fewer inches per action. So like it's a lot of asset management, but the assets are easy to manage. There's only a couple of them that you have to worry about. You just have to worry about them for every character. Our game started out strong. I came out, barrel. He came out, did a little mining, dropped a few resources on the ground. I came out, shot him with my little knife thing, and killed a guy on the spot. It was a great opening salvo. I was like, okay, all right. Now it's suddenly 3-2. That's pretty much where my game stopped being in my favor. I was doing a good job of defending myself. My armor checks, my defense checks were great, but I could not lay a finger on those nimble little NASA astronauts. It was again, I think it lasted maybe an hour. There was a lot of me and Chris, sitting there talking back and forth, but I think the game itself lasted maybe 45 minutes of actual gameplay. But it probably could have been faster if we already had known the rules and was like, okay, here's the scenario, do the thing, do the stuff. But it was, like I said, it was a lot of fun. And so much so that I plan on reaching out to Blacksite Studios to see if they want me to do some unboxings of some of their stuff. Because I think that they have their packaging is amazing. If you go check them out on their website, and if I do get a chance to do an unboxing, you'll get to see it. It's really, really ingenious. But I definitely plan on picking up a small faction, just to be able to play with Chris and some of our friends locally. It's so small and low key that I'm going to invest 50, 60, 70 bucks in it, and I'll have everything I need, rather than making this giant, thing out of it. That being said, Blacksite, if you're listening, and I know that you are, I want Martians. I want Ack bubble hat style little green men as an expansion. That is the faction that I want. Leave us with, instead of having oxygen, I've got nitrogen rolls, or instead of having, the super low tech stuff, maybe I've got slightly higher tech, but I obviously have fewer people. Or maybe our suits have less integrity, or whatever. I'm sure you guys are smart folks. I know how miniature design works, and I know that you guys can do this. Give me a little green man Martian faction, and I will pimp that out to no end. I would love to have little Ack green aliens. Please and thank you. Until then, I'll probably just roll freelancers and see where that takes me. Yes. So in a nutshell, we did flip through the rule book, and there's several missions. There's some that are a higher number of objectives on the board. There are some that have a higher number of turns. There was a few that the objective was slightly different. It was like it might be harder to mine, but when you mine it, you get double the resources. There are some that when you mine it successfully once, it's gone. And then there's just the resources running around on the map. They've already introduced, unmanned drone style rovers. They've got a lunar buggy. And then there was one that looked almost like a little moon ATV. So yeah, there's some they're definitely moving in the right in the right direction for their game. I just want Martians. Ack. But there's also weather effects. Yes, it's the moon, so there's no weather really, but there are unstable ground, or a shuttle exploding in orbit, or a meteor shower. There are things that can happen, and some of the scenarios just rather than it being a random effect, it's just, okay, by the way, there's a moonquake in this scenario. Be prepared. And it's just, it's a very small game in both size and complexity, but I think that it's a lot of fun, and I would definitely give it a big thumbs up, and suggest. I know that Black Site's going to be at Adepticon. I look forward to running into them there, and I definitely look forward to seeing more out of this game and out of that company. So I will update you on the Martian front if anything happens. Yeah, I'm looking forward to playing more. I'm looking forward to having my own models, putting a little paint on my own little bubble-headed spacesuits. I want to try it again now that I know what I'm doing, because the cosmonauts are cool. They're tough, but they're really slow, and knowing how the attacks work and things, I definitely would have probably played it a little differently. So I'm looking forward to having models of my own and having a faction of my own, a Martian faction. How many times can I say that before it sits in? I think everybody needs to bombard Black Site's socials and be like, Bryan Steele needs ACAC Martians for Lunar. That's that if you guys want to get me anything for Christmas that isn't on the lists in the description, that's it. Tell Black Site to make Bryan some ACAC little green men. Yeah, so it was a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to playing it again. I'm looking forward to trying some of their other games. They've got a couple of other small games that I want to take a look at when I have time. It took us 6 months to get this one on the table, but hopefully I'll be able to get into get those other ones going a little sooner. And when I do, I'll let you guys know how they are. Until then, that's really all I've got for today. And I hope it was informative. I hope that you'll go to Black Site Studios' website and check out Lunar. And comment below if you have any questions or anything that I might be able to answer. And head over to Chris's Instagram, over to Victorum, because he does a lot of really good stuff. And I think that he could inform you about some other cool stuff in the gaming sphere. But until then, you know how it goes. Please, please, please be safe. Stay healthy, not sick. Wash your hands, wear a mask, get your shots. You know how it goes. All of that. Just try and leave every place a little happier than when you got there. And until next week, play some games.